Hey there everyone, Clifton here with Clifton Creative Academy, and in this tutorial we are going to be learning how to create a transparent header that actually transforms into a solid header as you scroll down in the page. And we're going to be doing this using Elementor Pro. Let me demonstrate what I mean. Just here's a sample website here. So as you notice, we now have this transparent header, which is a giant trend right now in web design. A lot of people want to know how to do this. And as you start scrolling down the page, you notice that the header is now solid and sticky in place as you scroll down. If I scroll back up, then it turns transparent again. Now, what's going to be great about this tutorial is that we're not going to be using any plugins, and we're also not going to be doing this with any code. All you will need is the Elementor Pro plugin to be able to pull this off. Now, I do have a tutorial where I did show how to be able to do this using a plugin called Sticky Header Effects. This is an upgrade to that tutorial because in that tutorial we essentially had to keep the heading and the elements in the heading the same color, right? So you notice in this one there the color is white. But you notice as you start scrolling down, not only does the header stay sticky at the top, but all the elements are now darker. They're now black. And you can have it be any color that you want. And we're going to be doing this without a plugin. So this is all you need here is Elementor Pro to be able to pull this off. And I will show you how to do that very easily in this tutorial. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe, or if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of any new videos that we post. We're going to be advancing our videos and showing more advanced type tutorials that are going to cover everything from page builders to WordPress. All right, enough talking. Let's go ahead and dive into this tutorial. Okay, so to begin, let's start with an instance of our website where we don't have the header with the sticky version like this coming up as we scroll. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to revert this to the regular header that typically comes with Elementor when you first get started, which is this one right here. So it's just the one that kind of scrolls away, and then you put all your elements in there and so on. Now, if you're following along and you need a website to get started with, I just started with a law template that is available in Elementor Pro. So if you want to know how we did that, just simply create a page where you're going to be making your changes or working on your header. And then what you'll need to do is, I'm just going to show you this here. Just all you need to do is just click on this folder right here. And here where it says pages, you can go ahead and find a page that is suitable for a transparent header. So the one that I found that was really good was the law template, which is this one right here. Okay, this one right here, and I went ahead and inserted it, and that's how I got to this page right here. Okay, so essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building out the header. We're not going to need this page to do it, but you do need a page to show your transparent header on. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to exit to the dashboard, and we're going to go to the theme builder section of Elementor. So you just go to Elementor, go to templates, and you're going to click on your theme builder. I'm going to click on the header, and I'm also going to click on add new. Okay, so you have your header section right here that we're going to build out, and I'll just call this transparent header. We'll call this version 5. I'm going to create the template, which will give me a blank canvas to go ahead and create my header. It does give you options to throw in a header there already. We're going to ignore these options by closing this out, clicking on the X, and now we have a fresh template. Right here on the right hand side, you can see the navigator. This is going to help us move between our different sections, and you're definitely going to need this because there's going to be some overlapping and negative margins happening, which will prevent you from making getting access to certain sections. So the navigator is a really nice tool to have. If you don't have it open on yours when you first open this up, just go to the lower left hand section of the editor while you're in Elementor, and you'll see this looks like a stack of books called the navigator. Click on that, and then you can go ahead and dock it to the right. You can move this around, by the way, so I just have mine docked to the right here so I can see what I'm doing, or you can have it floating around however way you want. Okay, so now our space is now prepared. So the first thing we need to do is we basically need to create our header. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus sign here. I'm going to select a structure. I will select the one column structure. Okay, and now that I've selected this structure, I'm going to make some changes to it right now. So selecting this, the only thing I want to do here is I want to deactivate the columns gap by setting it to no gap right here on the left hand side on the layout. On the height, I'm going to set this to a minimum height of 60. This is what I want for my header. It may be different for yours, but for this specific tutorial and this header, we want it to be at 60. And you're going to want to pay attention to this number here, because whatever this number is, we're going to need multiples of it when we start configuring our appear header. Okay. So now that I've configured that, the next thing that I need to do is I now need to start building out my header. Before I do that, on the right hand side here where it says navigator, you'll see that there's a representation of this section here. What you want to do is you want to name this so that you know what you're doing. Right now we're building the main header. We're basically building the transparent header that's going to go over our content for the website, right? So I'm going to go ahead and double click that. I'm going to call this main transparent header. Okay. All right. So now we have that labeled and ready to go. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do now is we need to create our header. So we need to add some sections in here. And just for now, temporarily, I'm going to give this some color. Okay. Just so that I can see what I'm doing, because this is going to be a transparent header. So I'm going to go ahead and give this some color. So select the section, go to style, select background type, and we're going to give this a color of, let's just make it this nice pink color here. Okay. All right. Now we need to add our elements. So the first element I'm going to add is the inner section. Okay. This is going to give me some columns. Now I like to do it this way because I like to have multiple ways to control these sections I'm in. I know I could have just selected 4 from the structure here, but maybe like 4 or 3, but I don't want to do that. I like to have the inner column and the outer column so I can make some changes whenever I need to. Just gives me more flexibility. Okay. Now here I need 4 of these columns. I need 4 of them. I only have 2. So what I'm going to immediately do is I'm going to add 2 additional columns. Okay. So now that we have that, now we can start putting elements for our header into these columns. So the first element I'm going to add is the site title. Now, if you have a logo, you can add the site logo in as well, but I'm going to add the site title. It makes it nice and easy. And we have here the Elementor title, and now I'm going to make some configurations. So in the style, I want this to be white so that it shows up when it's overlaying when it becomes transparent. I want this to be white. I also want the size to be a little bit smaller, so I'm going to set the size to 20 pixels. Okay, that looks great. And maybe in the alignment, I want the alignment to be in the center of that, right there. Okay. The other thing I'm noticing is that this is floating more closer to the top of the column here. So I'm going to right click on the column element here, click on edit that column. And what I want to do is I want the vertical alignment to be in the middle. Okay. I'm also going to do this for all the others. And a great way to do that easily is to just go ahead and right click on that column, click on copy, right click on the others, click on paste style, right click, paste style. That'll grab all the styles from this first one and distribute it to the others. Okay. Now the other thing that we're going to need is we're going to need some other items here. So I'm going to have my menu, and I'm also going to have some social media icons in here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a menu. We can just grab the nav menu widget, place that in there. And now you do have to have some pages created or a menu created, all right, to see the menu items, right? So if you don't have one, just go to the menu screen. You can create some dummy links if you want to, or if you have actual pages, then you want to place your menu in here. So I already have my menu created. Now I'm going to go ahead and configure this menu so that it makes sense. So the first thing I want to do is I want this menu to be centered, and under style, just so we can see it, I'm going to select the text color to be white. Okay. And then I'm going to do some adjusting right here. I'm just going to move this over slightly, just like that. And that looks pretty good now. Okay. Awesome. So the next thing we need to do now is add some social media icons, or if you have a button, maybe you can add a button. I like to add icons, so I'm going to go ahead and add some social media icons, and just go here, search for social media, and it'll let us grab some icons. Here they are. I'm going to put that in there. I'm gonna keep the icons as they are and just make some slight changes so that they match the design that I have here. Okay, so for the Facebook icon, I want to do a custom color, the primary color here, which is the color that you see on the outside. Okay, I'm gonna set that to transparent. Okay, I'm gonna leave the primary color as it is, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing for all the others. Excellent. So now I'm going to go to style, and under style, I'm going to reduce the size to 20 pixels. Okay, kind of matching the header, sorry, not the header, the title, site title. So I'm gonna reduce that to 20 pixels. I like the way that looks. I want them to be a little bit closer. So maybe I'm padding. I'll set the padding to 0. Padding at 0 and spacing at 5. There we go. All right. Let's make spacing a little bit bigger. There we go. 10 pixels bigger. Okay, great. So now that looks pretty good. And now our header's pretty much done. So let's close out of the navigator here so we can see our full header, what that looks like. Okay, so that looks pretty good. All right, we're pretty much there. Okay, what I'm gonna do is just move this over slightly, a little bit more over right there, just a little closer to that, a little closer to the icons. Okay, now if I wanted, I could shift this over even more, but this is just great. This is just for our tutorial. Okay, all right, so we've now completed this. Now the other thing I'm noticing, there's some spacing here, so select a section, and I'm also gonna turn the columns gap here to no gap. That'll close that up for me, and I'm just making sure that my outer here has no gap as well, and it does. Okay, great. So now this is all set up and looks really good. I'm gonna go ahead and update this, and now it's asking me where do I want to display your templates. Select add condition. We want this on the entire site. Go ahead and click save and close. So at this point, this is just a header that we've created, right? So if I go to the website and go ahead and refresh this now, you'll see now that we have our header. Okay, it's just a pink header. Nothing happens when you slide up and down. Okay, so this is the first part of what we need to do. Now let's go ahead and do the second part. Okay, the second part would be to go ahead and make this header right here overlap and transparent. So I'm going to go back to my editor here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the section, go to style, I'm going to turn off this color, okay, and then I'm going to go to advanced, and under advanced, remember earlier on when I said remember this 60 minimum height number, I'm going to go ahead under advanced, and under the margins, I'm going to unlink the margins, and I'm going to type in a negative 60 margin. What that's going to do is it's going to create an overlay for that header over the content of the page. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click update. It's going to overlay the page, and when we take a look at it now and I refresh, we now have the first level of our header. Now, if you notice, when we did that, the heading here disappeared, not the heading, the site title disappeared, and the social media icons disappeared. I don't know why this happens. But for whatever reason, it disappears simply because of the Z index. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set those Z indexes to a higher number so that they show up. All right, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go to Elementor right here, and we're going to select our site title, go to advanced. Under the Z index here, we're going to type a 1, and we will update that. Then I'm going to go to my social media icons, which also were not showing up. Click on advanced, and I'm also going to type a 1 there as well. Click update. Now, when you go back and we refresh, this should come forward. There it is. Okay. So now we have a typical transparent header. If you're just trying to do a transparent header that just doesn't do anything, it just stays up there when you scroll, then your job is done. Now, if you want to take this further and have the header become sticky at the top and then change colors of the items on the inside, then follow along with the rest of the tutorial and you'll see how to be able to do that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my editing section here, and now we have our initial header. Now we're going to need to create we're going to need to make this change colors. Now the way to be able to do this, there's lots of ways to be able to do it, but this way I think is the most effective way to be able to do it, and the simplest way to do it without using a plugin or without using any coding. You just need a little bit of knowledge of how Elementor Pro works. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to create a second header. That second header will be our visible header that shows up when we start to scroll. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to go ahead and open up my navigator again, and I'm going to close all this up. So here's my navigator. The navigator basically contains everything that you've created, all right, and sets it up in a nice hierarchy so you can navigate from thing to thing in case you can't see anything, right? You can navigate from section to section, module to module. Okay, so this was the section here. So if I select this, then I can make changes to all the sections and so on and so forth. And the same goes for all the other individual items. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to duplicate this. I want the same exact header. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on this, and I'm going to hit duplicate. It's going to create a second one right below it. Okay, you can see that. So now there's two of them. And on this second one, when I select it, I'm going to change the name to main solid header. This is going to be our solid header. It has all the same elements as our transparent header. And if I update this now, okay, and we go back to our site and I refresh, you will see that we will have, whoops, refresh. We actually have both headers there right now. You can't see it because it's on top of each other. That's why, okay? So that's fine. But both headers are definitely there. Okay, so now what we want to do is we now want to set it up so that as we scroll, the main transparent header disappears and the main solid header appears. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is obviously make this a solid header. So make sure you're on the second section that you just duplicated. We're going to go to Style, and we're going to activate the background. See that? Here. So we're going to activate the background, and on this background, we want this background to actually be white. Okay, we want the background to be white. The other thing that we want to do is we also want to, because this is the exact duplicate of the main transparent header, we want to go to advanced, and for now we're going to set the margin to 0. Okay, excellent. Now under the style, we're going to now start making some changes to our elements. Okay, so I'm going to open up my main solid header because I can't see anything. I'm going to go to the intersection here, and here are my 4 columns. Now I know my first column is the site title, so I'm going to select that. It's going to select it for me. I'm going to go to Style, go to Text Color, and we're going to make this dark. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing for all the other elements. So my navigation, which is in the 3rd column, I'm going to select that, go to Style, and I'm going to make the text color for that dark as well. Okay. And then same thing here with the social icons that I have. Select my social icons and go to Style. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Content. And then we're going to go to each one. And here we're going to make the secondary color. Okay, secondary color is what you want. Dark. All right. Close that. Twitter, secondary color, dark. So whatever elements you're using, just make them a darker color. Okay, we just make them a darker color. All right, so they show up. And now we'll update. Okay, so I notice my my sections here are moving around, so I want them to be more like that. Okay. Okay, excellent. All right, so now that we've set this up, we've now set it up. If I go back to my main transparent header here, and we're going to go ahead and reactivate the color. Okay, so this is my main transparent header. You can see that the main header is still there. I'm going to turn off the color now, so it's back to being transparent. All right, if I go ahead and update this now, and I go back to the main site, let's see how that looks. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh. So you can see they're directly on top of each other. So now we're looking at our appear header, or our solid header, which is currently on top of our transparent header. Okay, so we basically have two headers going on. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to do the magic that's going to make one header appear and the other one disappear. I'm sorry, or one disappear and the solid one appear. So how do we do this? Here's how we're going to do it. Go ahead and select your main solid header. Then what I want you to do is go to Advanced. This is where all the magic is going to happen. You're going to click on Motion Effects. And under Motion Effects, the first thing we're going to turn on is Make It Sticky to the top. Just like that. Okay? So we're making it sticky to the top. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn on Scrolling Effects. And under Scrolling Effects, we're going to play only with the transparency. Okay? Now, transparency is what's going to allow you to disappear your solid header and appear it when you want to. So the direction that we want is to go in is we want it to fade in as we scroll. Okay? We want the level to be level 10. Level 10 is full solid. Level 1 means that it is invisible. So at 10, this is fully solid. And then now let's deal with the viewport. Now, for those of you who do not interpret what's going on with the viewport, all this is saying is that within view of the browser, we want this action to occur between 20% and 80%. But we're going to change this. I actually want it to happen at 100% towards the top and about 80%. Okay. Let's say about, just say 82%. Okay. All this is saying is that at the very top of our browser, start showing the other header. Okay, we don't need to play with the other one because the other one's going to disappear by going up into the heaven of browsers, right? But this other one is going to show up right at about 82%. Okay, now if I start reducing this, if I start increasing where it shows up from, you start seeing that it starts to appear. So I want this to actually be disappeared. Okay, so it's still showing up a little bit. I'm gonna keep moving this till it's invisible. Perfect. So now it's at about 89%. So between 89% and 100% is where this is going to live. And this might actually change based on some other settings that we have to do. But I wanted to set this up first. So set this up. Go ahead and click on Update. Okay. And that's all you're going to be doing here at Motion Effects. Now there is one other thing that we need to do. Okay. And I'll tell you why. If we go to the site right now and I refresh this. Okay, so notice you can kind of see you can see it's very faint right there. And as you start to scroll, it's now solid. All right. For whatever reason, whatever we're doing to the section to make it disappear isn't affecting this outside area. And I'm not going to go into an explanation as to why that's happening. That's more of an Elementor issue thing, but we're getting around that. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to go back, and in our main solid header, we're going to configure a few things. I'm going to go to Advanced, and under the Advanced section here, okay, I'm going to set my top margin to 120 pixels, which is about twice the size of the height, which, if you remember, is 60 pixels, right? So I'm going to set it to 120 pixels. And then on the bottom, I'm going to set that to 180 negative pixels. Okay, why am I doing that? If you notice, these are all multiples of 60. Why am I doing that? That's going to make that white piece disappear. Okay, and it's going to make it so that it looks clear. I'm going to go ahead and update this. And if we go and visit our site now and I refresh, okay, you'll now see that we now have our transparent header showing with all our links and everything, right? Everything's showing up really good. And as I start to scroll, voila, the solid header appears right on time, change of color. And if you can think about the possibilities of this, you could put anything in this solid header. You can make it, you can add buttons instead of this, or you can add a message. You can change your logo. Whatever you want to do, you can do, as long as this thing shows up right on cue. Okay, so if we scroll back up, guess what happens? It disappears, and now our actual transparent header now shows up. It's pretty exciting, isn't it? All right. Well, that concludes this tutorial. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a like. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified of any other tutorials that we release. We're planning on releasing a bunch more frequently every single week. And if you have any comments, please go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Wait, I can just see right now we need to address responsiveness, right? So mobile responsive is what we did, adaptable to mobile, which is very important. So what I want to do is just quickly show you how to be able to handle that. First of all, let's take a look at what it even looks like on a mobile device at the current point where we're at. So if I go ahead and click on this home page where I click on, I'm basically going to look at the header in operation with one of the pages, right? Which is the home page at this point. So here we are, our transparent header is showing up very well. And if I wanted to preview what this would look like on a tablet, I would simply go down to responsive mode down here with this icon right here. Click on this and let's look at it on a tablet. So now it's resized to a tablet. And I'm just going to close this out so that I can see it in a full preview, which will show me what it would really look like while I can maintain editing mode. So if I start to scroll, what happens on a tablet? Well, it looks like it works out just fine, right? My solid header shows up and there's no problem, okay? Now, what will it look like on a mobile device, right? On a phone. So if I look at it on mobile, well, I can see that we're having some issues. Let's preview it. So on mobile, that does not look very good. Now, our solid header does show up, but it really isn't important that we have this work out that way, just from a user perspective. At this point on the phone, there's only so much real estate. So it's kind of obscuring some of the content. So the solution that we need to come up with is we basically need to hide this on mobile, have it show up on tablets and desktop, and then also have the regular header be available, which we can't really see right now because it's in this white space, right? So this white space right here. So to fix that is actually very easy. Let's go ahead and open up our editor. We'll go ahead and exit out of this. So I'm just going to go back to viewing the page the way that it is. And we're going to open up the header section again. So in our header section, I want you to select the main solid header, right? So we have the main transparent header. Select the main solid header in your navigator. When you select that, we're going to go to advanced, and under advanced, I'm going to say hide this on mobile. We're going to leave desktop and tablet alone, but we're going to hide it on mobile. And now we can go ahead and update that. Okay. So now that we've done that, if I go back to the site and we preview this on a mobile device, so I'm going to go ahead and activate the Elementor editor for this page. Okay, and I'm going to go down to my mobile. Wait, actually, yeah, I'm going to go down to my mobile device. Excuse me. Here's the mobile device right here, and if I preview it the way it should look, I can see my regular header is there, opening up some space there. And as I scroll, I no longer see the overlay, okay, which is what I want. Now we need to fix this issue. So this is that 120 pixels that we created here that's creating some gapping here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, exit out of this. I'm going to go ahead and view the page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit my header again. And this time I'm going to edit the main transparent header, which is this one right here. Okay, so the main transparent header. And what we're going to do is we're going to come here under advanced. We can see here that this is the desktop view. We're going to take a look at our mobile view, which is that one right there. Or we could have done that down here, right? At the mobile view. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in a negative margin of 120 pixels to eat up that space. I'm going to go ahead and click on update. Okay, and now when I go back to my page, let's go ahead and refresh. And then I'm going to preview it looking at editor so that I can see what it looks like when it's mobile responsive. So go ahead and click on edit with Elementor for that page. Now it's now in the home page. And now that we are looking at it, I'm going to go ahead and select my mobile device again. So now I've selected my mobile device, and you can already see it has put my regular header on there. I can access my menu for just fine. And when I scroll, it's not a problem. I can basically see all the sections that I need to see on mobile. Okay, so that takes care of the responsiveness of the site, the responsive behavior. And as you can see, we have a nice, well-rounded working transparent header that actually changes shape to become a solid header when you start scrolling down the page. So once again, hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you get notified when we release new videos. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. That's it this time.